How to delete a background in Photoshop. Let's get into it. There are a couple of approaches that you can take to deleting a background. It's highly dependent on the kind of image that you're using. The first way is you can come into Layers, select your layer, and then choose Remove Background from the contextual taskbar. Photoshop is going to decipher what is your subject and what is your background, and it will remove the background of your image. In some cases, this may work really well for you. However, in other cases, you may get what I have here, where we can see a little glow of what the previous background was behind this lady's hair here. Because of this, we're going to have to do this the second way. So I'm just going to undo what I just did there. And with the layer still selected, come up to Select, come down to Select and Mask. Within here, we need to come into Properties and select a view that works with your project. For my example, I want to be able to see the blue around the outline, so I'm going to select on white so it's easier to see. With that selected, you can then come up to Select Subject. Photoshop is then going to process the image in the same way to what we did in the previous step. Once it's removed the background, you can then come up to the Refine Hair button. If you're dealing with curly hair or wispy hair like me, you can click this button and it will refine the edges of the hair in your image as well. Now, as we can see here, I still have a little bit of the blue glow going on around this lady's hair here. There's a couple of techniques we can use to fix this. The first one is by coming into Global Refinements over in the right, and here we can change the shift edge and bring it in. If we zoom in on here so we can see what we're working on, if I bring this to the left, it's going to cut into my image like so. However, if we bring it too far, it's going to give really strange results. This method might work for some of you, and if you do use this method, I do recommend adding a feather to it so that it's not as sharp on your image. The second way, which is the way that I prefer doing, is coming down to the output settings and enabling decontaminate colors. So if I check this, we can see immediately that blue glow has disappeared. In some cases, if you ramp this up to 100%, it can give you really strange results. So please play around with this so it's suitable for your image. You may not need to take it all the way to the top. Once you're happy with your image, you can come down to Output 2 and select New Layer with Layer Mask and then choose OK. Photoshop is then going to output that as a new layer with a layer mask. So we have our original underneath and our new layer on top. In some cases, like I have right here, you may have little areas where the software cannot detect the background. There is a simple way that we can fix this. To do this, come up to a selection tool that you can use to go around the edge. I'm just going to use the lasso tool and then just draw around the area where you want to remove the last bit of background from, like so. Next, choose Generative Fill and then choose Generate. And what that's going to do is fill in that gap right there, and it will look quite natural for our image. If we come over into Properties and cycle through the 3 variations, you can choose the one that looks best for you. I think this first one looks best. Now, if I zoom out of this image, and if we go through our before and after, this is our before and this is our after, and that's all there is to it.